All right, guys, just wrapped up the second stop of Division One in the Bassmaster Opens on the Tombigbee River down in Columbus, Mississippi. And first, I just want to say, I honestly had a ton of fun. You know, it was a tough event for some guys, myself included. And I think that's partly because it fished really small, in my opinion. There was a lot of good fish in that lake, and the guys caught them really good. And for the river, the weights there wasn't 20-pound bags, but there were 16, 17-pound bags, quite a few of them that first day, and everybody was thinking the weights were going to be a lot lower. And they did taper off as you went down, but the standings. But honestly, it fished really small in my opinion, and a lot of the good areas that had water, where I found in practice was I found fish where there was deeper water close by, and the trees that were either coming off the bank, the laydowns, they had a foot or two of water in them. I caught a couple fish real super skinny water, but pretty much all the fish I caught, I had to have at least a foot of water. And there was some vegetation, clumps of vegetation out off the bank that I actually caught fish on in practice. But day one I had a late boat number. I was second to last flight. I really got on a good pitch and bite with the Berkeley Pit Boss and in practice, and I wasn't really hooking anything. I only hooked like one fish. I was shaking everything off. I'd get bit. I'd just let them swim with it, shake them off. I wouldn't stick them. And I really was looking forward to doing that come day one. But late boat number, my best spots I went to, and I had boats all over them. So I just kind of fit in because in practice I drove around a lot, marked a bunch of stuff, marked a bunch of trees, good laydowns, similar stuff to what I was getting bites on. And started fishing there, caught a couple shorts, really slow morning, went and flipped some vegetation, caught my first keeper. It was like a 15-incher. So that was good. Got my first keeper. And then unfortunately day one just missed a bunch of fish. I had two really good keepers I lost, and it was a really tough day. So day two, I threw a swim jig all day. Untamed tackle, apex swim jig. Threw that all day. 6 hours straight I sat in a spot and caught all my fish there. I actually left, did some flipping, fished some other stuff, but like I said, it was fishing small. There was boats all over other things that I had, and I came back, called one more time in that same spot, and got some really good points. I think I moved up like 48 or 49 places from day one to day two, so got some really good points for the EQs. And so I'm just gonna break down the two baits that really worked out well for me, and then at the end of the video, I'll add some tournament footage from the tournament. So the swim jig I was throwing, like I said, was untamed tackle, apex swim jig, and I threw that in 3/8 mainly, 40-pound braided P-line, and that's all I threw it on. Braid, 40-pound braid, that's all I threw this on. And I threw it on I stepped up the rod. Normally I throw it on a Champion XP 735. I actually threw it on the Dobbins Champion XP 736. And this is a 7-foot 3-inch rod, and it's a extra heavy. So, or it's a heavy, extra fast action. And this is mainly my frog rod, and that's why I was using it for this, because some of the vegetation I was fishing was super thick. And if I got bit, because it was tough to get a bite, if you got bit, you want to make sure you got it in the boat. So that's why I kind of stepped it up to my frog rod, because this thing has been awesome. When I'm fishing this with a frog over the summer, I get a lot of them in the boat using that. That was my main setup that I caught most of my fish on. And as far as the trailer went on that, I threw the Z-Man Turbo Cross, and this is my favorite. I love this trailer. This is my favorite for swim jigs. You can actually Texas rig this and just pitch this, flip this. It's a great bait for that as well, but I really love the turbo cross for a swim jig trailer in general, really. But my other main setup, as you can see, I'm broke off because I snagged it in a tournament, and day 2 I hardly flipped at all. Like everything I had, I wasn't getting any bites on it, and I just put that swim jig in my hand and I fished it all day and had a great day. Had just under 12 pounds. Like I said, it moved up 48 places from day 1 to day 2. So it swim jig really put them in the boat for me day 2. So as far as the flipping setup, which I did have a lot of bites in practice, and you know, a lot of guys I seen in practice, they caught them flipping. So they were in those same areas I was in practice, and I seen them in the tournament, and they had good bags and they caught good fish. And but I threw that on a Dobbins Champion XP 610, and this is a 6-foot 10-inch. It's a dock skipping rod, kind of jig Texas rod is kind of what they set this up for. It's fairly new. I mean, a few years ago, I think they just came out with this rod, and it's a heavy action, or it's a heavy rod, heavy power, fast action rod. And I threw that on 20-pound P-line tactical fluorocarbon, and I was using this to skip. I was doing a lot of skipping with this. That's why I went with the 610, because normally I throw a 7.3 if I'm gonna be flipping, or a 7.6, but I wasn't really flipping real heavy vegetation lily pad. It was pretty sparse stuff. So, and I was doing a lot of skipping, and I love this rod for skipping. You know, I was throwing light weights. I was only throwing like a 1/4 ounce. It was real shallow water, but I used the Berkley Pit Boss, was I was getting most of my bites on, and I tried some other baits, really didn't get that many bites. But the Pit Boss, it was muddy water, and the Pit Boss has these appendages that have a lot of action in the water when you're flipping this. You know, some flipping baits, they don't really have a lot of action. The Pit Boss had tons of action with those appendages, and I think that's what was getting me the bites. I also did throw the Crud Crawl Berkley Power Bait Max Scent, and I threw that a little heavier. I threw that on a 3/8, just a little 3/8 tungsten. Oops. Bumped the camera there, but I threw that on a 3/8 ounce tungsten weight, and just a 3/0 offset hook, and caught some fish on that. But the key was, I caught tons of fish. The key was getting keeper fish. You know, I caught a lot of 11, 12, 13.5-inch fish on flipping. But when I was skipping and I was flipping it, and I was trying to skip it under those bushes, I was throwing a real small weight, little 1/4 ounce, and that was only because the water was super shallow. I didn't need to break through any vegetation. I didn't need to get through you know, any mats, anything like that. I was just kind of skipping it up there. And this weight right here, I think it's from Janko. I can't really remember. I got them years ago and really like them, but it's real flat. As you can see, it's real flat. And this thing, if you're skipping and pitching, this thing's awesome. And I just used the 3/0 flipping hook, and that's what I had the Pit Boss on. So, you know, like I said, great tournament. I had tons of fun. I did catch some fish on a buzz bait. I think day 1 I caught a short on a buzz bait. Had like 2 blow up and miss it on a buzz bait. Caught some in practice on a buzz bait. I was just throwing a 5/16 ounce buzz bait, so that way I wanted a little bit lighter. I was skipping it, stuff like that. And I pitched around a spinner bait some, but like I said, that swim jig and that Texas rig, Berkley Pit Boss, was my 2 main players in this event. Tons of fun. Would love to go back and fish a tournament there sometime. You know, I really like that shallow water, dirty, stumpy, grinder type tournaments. You know, that lake had all kinds of stumps in it, and it was I definitely ran up some on the boat, so I got stuck on a couple in practice. But it was a fun event, and I look forward to go back there, and I'm looking forward to finishing out the Bassmaster Opens Division I season. You know, we saved the day with that Apex swim jig, and we're sitting in a good position to qualify for the EQs at the end of the season. So I'll play some footage from the tournament, and there you go. Yeah. That's a tree. That's a 3-pounder. Yes, sir. That's a fat one. That's a fatty right there. That's a fatty. Number 5, baby. That's a fatty.